client once asked me for a 70% discount. 70% on a SaaS product that was already priced competitively. And you know what I did? Instead of panicking, I smiled. And I told him, I can do that. But first, you need to find me a job at your own company. He laughed, the tension broke, and we moved forward. Because in the Gulf, knowing how to handle a ridiculous ask with confidence and warmth is sometimes the move that saves the relationship and closes the deal. Today, I'm showing you exactly how. What's up guys, Kareem here. It's part 2 of my negotiation video. In part 1, I covered the biggest 2 mistakes that bleed your margin, the GCC negotiation mindset, and 4 setup tactics. You remember them? Quoting with a buffer, floating the price to read the room, never countering on the same day. And what's number 4? Never playing your full hand at once. Remember, the poker player. If you haven't watched, the link in the description, start there. Today, the full system, the stand framework, how to handle ridiculous discount requests and competitor undercutting you. Also alternatives to discounting that protect your margin, a real deal win, and the exact phrases you can use tomorrow. Let's go! My GCC negotiation framework is called STAND, S-T-A-N-D, because in this region you need to know how to stand your ground without standing in the way of the relationship. Yalla, S, silence is a weapon, use it. After you present your number, stop talking. Silence, khalas, shh. The silence feel unbearable. Every instinct says fill it, justify it, soften it, offer something. Don't. Let them process, let them respond first, let them make the move. I once was in a negotiation in Riyadh, face to face, where I presented the final number and said nothing for almost 45 seconds. To be honest, inside of me, it felt like 10 minutes. The client finally said, okay, yalla, let's move forward. We will try you. Silence closed the deal, not a discount. Okay, what's T? Trade. Never just give. No, trade. If they ask for a discount, you move, but you take something back. I can work on the price, but I need the contract to be signed before the end of the month. I can reduce the annual cost, but I needed to commit to 2 years instead of 1 year. Every concession they get, it costs them something. That signals that your pricing is real, that you are a serious vendor, not a market stall or a kiosk where everything is negotiable down to nothing. And remember, one concession at a time, not everything at once. Offer one thing, read the reaction, and decide what comes next. Okay, A, anchor high. Always. Your first number sets the ceiling for the negotiation. Anchor too low and you have nowhere to go. Always propose the highest defensible number first. Not a number you invented, no, a number you can justify with value that makes sense. ROI, time saved, risk eliminated, headcount reduction. Please don't lay off people. When the anchor is built on value, it holds. And it gives you the buffer to trade without bleeding your margin. Remember, you have a huge target. N, never negotiate against yourself. After you send a proposal, do not touch it until they respond. Do not email asking, does this price work for you? Do not call saying, I know the number might seem high. Do not offer flexibility before they ask for it. Wait, their response tells you exactly what you are dealing with and how much you actually need to move. Don't guess, don't fill the silence with your own anxiety. I know the feeling, but just hold. Hold. D, and this is important, dignity. Make them feel they want something real. This is the most important letter in the Gulf specifically. When you close, the client must feel that they won. Not a token gesture, no. Something they can take to their manager. Something that justifies the process they went through. Your final concession, whatever it is, it must feel significant, even if it costs you very little. Please focus here. For example, I want to make sure this partnership starts right. So I'm going to make sure your team gets a full onboarding and a dedicated point of contact for the first 6 months included. On us. After you say this, they walk away feeling they negotiated well, which is a good start of the collaboration, and you walk away with your margin intact. That is the goal. Not winning the argument. No. Closing the deal with both sides proud of the outcome. Win-win situation. What to do when the ask is genuinely unreasonable. Sometimes, and this happened, the client asks for something that is unrealistic. A 40% discount, a 50% discount. A number that makes no commercial sense. If you went back to your management asking this is the number, they will kick you out. And in the Gulf, you cannot respond to this with a flat no. That shuts the conversation down and kills the relationship. What I do, I reject it with a joke. My line that I always use, I can offer you that, but you need to find me a job at your company first. As if the management gonna fire me if I ask for this. Every time they laugh, the tension breaks, and we move forward into the real negotiation. Why does this work? Because it communicates that this number is not happening without confrontation, without awkwardness, and most important, without making the client feel embarrassed for asking. In the GCC, protecting the client dignity, even in the moments you are pushing back, is everything. After the laugh, you redirect. Seriously though, tell me what's driving this number for you. Let's see what we can actually work with. Now you're in a real conversation. The ridiculous task is off the table and nobody lost face. Okay, now they come and tell you the competitor is offering 30% less. This one comes up constantly in the GCC. And the wrong response is to immediately match their price or panic into a discount. Here's how I handle it. First, I don't give up or drop the price right away. I remind the client what they are actually comparing. For example, I say, I understand and I want to make sure you're comparing the right things. Let's look on what's actually included on both sides. Then I go through feature by feature, support level by level, local presence by local presence, and this is important in DGC. And I show the gaps. But here's an important thing I do, and this one I work on since the very beginning of the deal. I remind them with the relationship we've built, the insights that I've brought in that weren't on a spec sheet, the consultation, the tailored solution built around their specific operations. And if you did a great job here, you built something the competitor can't copy. You are not a generic product package for everyone anymore. And let's be honest, competition can copy a feature list, but they cannot copy 6 months of trust. And if you've been doing your job right throughout the sales process, showing up, adding value, understanding their world, then the client already knows this. Your job at this point is just to remind them clearly of it. And if they still chose the competitor purely on price, then the price was always going to win. And that was never your deal to lose. Because in a couple of years, another competitor will come with a cheaper price and then they will leave to them. But in most cases, if the relationship is strong, they will find a way to justify the investment in you. You just have to give them the language to justify it internally. Remember, you need to develop people that can sell internally. Now, this one is a game changer. The discount is always the last resort, not the first. Here's something I fight hard to protect in every negotiation. The value of the offer itself. Every time you discount, you affect your commission, your ARR, annual recurring revenue, your company perception of the product's worth. And you train the client to always expect a discount next time. So before I touch the price, I offer alternatives. Things that feel valuable to the client, but cost me very little. A free training workshop for their team, an extended free usage if it's a subscription, flexible payment term, quarterly instead of annually, or split across 2 invoices, priority onboarding with a dedicated person, or a custom report or a workflow template built specifically for their operation. These are real concessions. They solve real problems for the client, but they don't eat into the number on the contract. And here is how I frame it. I want to find a way to make this work for you. Instead of adjusting the investment, let me see what I can do on the value side. That framing matters. You're not being difficult. You're being creative. And clients, specifically in the GCC who appreciate generosity, often respond better to this than a price drop. Use price as a last resort. Use value first. Okay, I'll tell you a story that is close to my heart. I had a deal with a famous developer that all the competitors here in the region wanted to work with, including us, of course. Even my management was very keen to close this company. So I went to them, did the POC, tailored something that the competition cannot copy. And I focused on the thing that my product excels in that is not existing in any other competition. When it came to the negotiation, I floated the price to read the room. And remember, I mentioned the price and then sat silent. And then they're like, that price is really high compared to the competition. And it ended up with them requesting 20% discount. So I said my usual line that I mentioned in the video in the beginning, find me a place to work with you. We laughed. And then I told them, let me see what I can do and I'll come back to you. I went back, I discussed internally, and they were actually happy to offer the 20% discount. But inside of me, I worked on this hard and I wanted to get more out of it. So I went to them and I remember iPads with one of the things they needed in their operations. And I remember my champion was saying it will be a huge load to go through budget approvals to approve all of these iPads because there were 40 users, so it's 40 iPads. And guess what? The 40 iPads were way cheaper than the 20% discount. So I went back to them. We sat in another round of negotiation, which is supposed to be the final one. And I told them I discussed internally and this is the best I can do. but you need to promise me something. Will we be able to finalize this before the end of the year? And it was November. And he mentioned, yes, we're interested as we have a project upcoming in January and we need to have the system ready. So I mentioned, I will remove the burden of the iPads for you. I will offer you 40 iPads on us. I saw the smile on his face, but he was trying to hide it. And he told me, Kareem, that sounds great, but you know what? Let's work on the price a little bit. Remember, my management was approving 20%. So I told him my final is I will offer you an extra 5% discount, but let me come back to you by the end of the day. So I called him end of the day and told him on the phone, I was able to approve the 5% discount, but management mentioned that it should be closed within 2 weeks. And this is where my champion laughed and told me we already got an internal approval, so we'll move forward with you. Prepare to me the final offer and send it for our signing. You see what I did here? I never counted on the same day twice. Through the 2 rounds of negotiation, I gave myself time to think, to come back with a better alternatives that would be a win for me and the client. Second thing, I never played the full hand. I offered in the beginning the iPads and then waited a little bit and then offered the discount. Third thing, I traded. I didn't just give everything for free. Don't be hard on yourself. In the very beginning of my career, I never negotiated like this. But the more you practice these rules, and you keep it on top of your head while sitting and always have a plan, the better you're gonna get in this and your muscle will grow and you will feel like you're negotiating on autopilot. Okay, now let me give you the exact phrases. Take these, adapt to your product and client and use them. Okay, phrase number 1. When they asked about the price before the proposal is sent, I usually say, roughly speaking, for a team your size and the scope you've mentioned, we're typically looking at ballpark range. Does that feel in the right area? Say this over a call, face to face, but listen to their voice. The reaction before the proposal lands tells you more than the negotiation itself. Second thing, when they ask for a ridiculous discount, I can offer you that, but you'll need to find me a job at your company first. Pause for a laugh, then, seriously though, help me understand what's driving this number. Let's see what we can actually work with. When they ask for any discount, your response should be, I appreciate you raising that directly. You motivating them for open communication. Let me take this back and discuss with my team. I want to make sure if I come back with something, it's actually something I can stand behind. Give me until, and mention a date or a time. Okay, what to mention when you come back after the internal discussion? I went back and I pushed hard on this. You're trying to make the client feel you're his internal advocate at your own company. Given the size and the commitment you're making, the best I can do is smaller discount and add another alternative value. That's genuinely the limit and I had to fight for that. Okay, now when they bring up the competition at a lower price, I always say I understand and I want to make sure you're comparing the right thing. Let's actually go through on what's included on both sides. Because the price difference usually represents a difference somewhere. And I want you to know exactly what you're getting. When you want to offer an alternative for the discount. And instead of adjusting the investment, let's see what I can do on the value side. I want this to feel right for you without either one of us compromising something we might regret later. When closing, make them feel they won. I want this partnership to start the right way, so I'm going to personally make sure your team gets specific add-on, no extra charge. You've negotiated well and I want you to feel like this from day one. Let me wrap this up, stupid simple. Quote with buffer, always. Float the price before you commit to paper, never counter on the same day, and never play your full hand in one round. When they push, you stand. Silence after every offer. Trade, never just give. Anchor at full value. Never negotiate against yourself. Dignity. Make them feel they want something real. When the ask is ridiculous, laugh and redirect. When the competition undercuts you, remind them what they are actually comparing. When they need a discount, offer value alternative before you touch the price. This is how you protect your margin and keep the relationship in the gulf. If this helped, like the video and subscribe. I have more coming in the GCC sales series. Objection handling, pipeline building, closing enterprise deals from scratch. Drop a comment, what is the toughest negotiation moment you had with a GCC client? I read everyone. Until next time, yalla, keep building freedom. See you. Assalamu alaikum.